Good evening, viewers, and welcome to Daily Politics on Trust TV, your platform for robust discussions on politics, policy, and governance. I am Hamza Idris. Tonight, we take a look at the state of the nation with the reported rise in poverty levels at the rural Nigeria, a resurgence of Boko Haram attacks occasioned by onslaught on military formations like the latest one in Yobe, killing of soldiers and destroying military hardwares, in addition to the killing of scores of hunters by the Lakurawa terrorist group in Kebbi, Bauchi, among others. Of course, this is also coming on the heels of concerns over impact of systemic corruption and absence of governance, especially at the underserved communities, usually referred to as ungovernable spaces. All of this happenings at a time the nation's political elite appears to have shifted focus to the 2027 election with schemes to consolidate their political basis amidst increasing rhetoric. And to help us unpack these issues and more is Senator Yusuf Abubakar Yusuf, a former federal lawmaker, economist, and an academic. He joins us live here in the studio. Distinguished Senator, welcome to our program.
Thank you very much.
And we'll take a short break. When we return, the conversation commences. Don't go away. Welcome back. Of course, viewers, Senator Yusuf Yusuf and a Bachelor of Science degree in Economics from Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria in 1980, and an ME in Economics from the University of East Anglia in 1983. He later became a lecturer in the Department of Economics at the University of Maiduguri. In 2015, he ventured into politics under the All Progressive Congress and contested for the Taraba Central senatorial seat. Senator Yusuf was re-elected in 2019 and served until June 2023 when he contested for the governorship seat of Taraba State. As a senator, Yusuf chaired the Senate Committee on Special Duties. He was known for advancing anti-corruption reforms, including proposing penalties for relatives of corrupt individuals. He championed major initiatives such as the actualization of Mambila Power Electricity. Once again, distinguished Senator, welcome to our program.
Thank you very much.
We are talking about politics and economy, and you are the right person to be in the studio. But before we commence, we have a clip from what the president said recently in Katsina, which has generated a lot of interest across Nigeria and beyond. Have a look.
Nigeria is a success. The economy is turning around. It has bent the corner. When we started, it was challenging. I almost run away from watching the news or reading the newspapers. I just use courage and stay put on my decisions, believing that the ability of a leader to take a decision at the right time is the hallmark of leadership. We took it, we stayed with it, and it will be rewarding. It is already bearing fruit.
Distinguished, I on the same page. This is what the president said in Katsina, that when they started, it was or when you started, you're also a member of the APC, but now that things have stabilized in a way, do you agree?
Well, I have no reason not to agree with him, for a simple reason. When APC came on board, it took over after 16 years or so of the administration of PDP. And upon our coming, we talked about three issues: better management of the economy, tackling insecurity, and then tackling corruption. During the 8 years of President Muhammadu Buhari, we did all we could within the present circumstances and arrive at certain numbers. In the numbers that has arrived, he was able to tackle the insecurity in the Northeast. On the economy, yes, there were challenges. The level at which APC wanted to be, it has not arrived yet at that point in that time. Also in the area of corruption. And in the area of corruption, like I have said in the past, it is not just integrity that matters in the administration. It is also, ability and will. Maybe at that time, President Muhammad Buhari, he had he had the will to tackle corruption, but he didn't have the ability. And this is what we still have today. The government of President Tinubu, I believe, he is willing to tackle corruption, but he is unable. For the simple reason, corruption is endemic. And right even from the family level, even at the lowest of the hierarchy, you still have these issues. And insecurity, yes, it has now expanded to Northwest and other parts. And it is even of recent, there's a resurgence of insecurity in the land. Like what we have said in the past. You cannot solve the problem of insecurity in this country by just kinetics. You have to involve each and every member of the citizens of this country. How do you do that? By involving federal government, the subnationals. The federal government alone cannot solve the problem of insecurity. The subnationals must do it.
Our viewers will be appalled if you say that, okay, Buhari has done a lot, even though he couldn't get there, and then you are on the same page with Tinubu. If you look at the backlash from Tinubu's visit to Kazana, we did an elaborate report in our newspaper today, and some papers also followed suit. That is just about rhetoric, because people are really, really poor. President Tinubu is making these statements at a time the World Bank, and I have the figures here, that a staggering 75.5% of rural dwellers live below the poverty line. 41.3% of Nigeria's urban population, they live in poverty. You are an economist since the 80s, and you've been teaching economics, and you are also a politician. Is there actually an agreement between what Tinubu said in Kazana and what he has been saying and what the World Bank said?
You see, I tend to almost all the time disagree with the figures of World Bank, because World Bank is an accomplice right from SAP up till today.
Accomplice as how?
Accomplice in what is making Nigeria poor. They are the major contributors of what is making Nigerians poor. For a simple reason. You do not dictate policies that you think is applicable to an economy that has arrived on the economy that is arriving. Nigeria is an economy that is coming up. Nigeria is not like the United States of America. It is not like England. So if you are applying the policies of stabilizing America, stabilizing UK, and you think those policies will also be useful in stabilizing the economy of Nigeria, you are making it wrong. Loans and loans and loans and loans do not solve our problem.
Why are we taking the blame to World Bank, for instance, when Nigeria as a sovereign country, we have all the right to now resist some of their temptations? I recall there is this clip, if you Google, you will see it, when they said, they told Buhari, that he should like devalue the naira. He said, why should I devalue the naira? He resisted, and that was why he actually, gave a lot of subsidy to the naira. Up till the time he left, it wasn't up to 1,000 naira. But here we have a president who, on the first day of taking power, he now said, okay, subsidy is gone. Is that a right decision taken by him?
Thank you very much. We will start on the value of the naira. In 1992 or so, I was in US, where they talk about devaluing the dollar. The American government...
1982?
1992.
Okay, 92, okay.
The American government at that time refused to devalue the dollar, even though it was eminent they should do it. You think devaluation is more of a political issue than economic. And a lot of people think it is economic.
Devaluation is political?
Yes. Why would you reduce my value vis-a-vis somebody's anticipated value? Why?
So if I understand, Tinubu got it wrong in this perspective.
No, not that he got it wrong.
Okay.
I think it's coming from the perspective of understanding that, look, we have to value the naira, so that we can, stabilize the foreign, so that we can match the two exchange rates that are at disparity with one another.
To address the arbitrage or what?
To address, people, coming to government to buy foreign exchange and then turn it around and sell at a higher. So if you are coming from that point of view, yes, perfectly he's right to have taken the decision he took. However, the backlash of it is that, do we have enough reserve to sustain the value of the naira that we have? That is an issue, for discussion, because you have to see how will your productivity, increase your exchange, your foreign exchange to stabilize, to sustain the stabilization of your naira. So that is why I said, when it comes to devaluation, when it comes to such issues, you will not separate economics from politics.
Now, who influenced the decision in your estimation, even though you are not in government, but as an economist? Yeah.
Taking back to the issue of SAP, Structural Adjustment Program, Nigeria wanted, the bailout. And I think, the Britain institution said, no. If you want us, to give you this, you must do, you should remove, subsidies in this, subsidies in that, subsidies
in health,
that.
In education.
Where, so that, your economy, can what I call...
fend for itself.
Be determined, by market forces. Which market? Which market do we have? We do not have that kind of market that will stabilize, the foreign exchange, that will stabilize, other issues. So a developing economy, you have to see that it is not an economy that you are going to rely on market forces to determine demand and supply.
Distinguish, if you say World Bank, actually, I'm not putting words into your mouth, but misled Nigeria, in a way. What about the Africa Development Bank? Akiwumi Adesina is ours. Just yesterday, he said Nigeria better off 64 years back compared to what it is today. Is this not self-indictment? If we say that, okay, the white man is not with us now, what about Adesina?
What shares in Africa Development Bank that is owned by the World Bank? The World Bank also owns some shares in the Africa Development Bank. So you see, the issue is, it is very, very difficult for a developing country to imbibe the anticipated policy or the policies that the Britain institutions, together with African Development Bank. I don't see African Development Bank not tarring with the policies of the World Bank. They do, because once you adopt such methods that you want, if you think that you are going to run Nigeria as a predetermined market economy, you are going to get it wrong. And I think even Africa Development Bank, it is on that side. You say, statistics, it depends on which way you are looking at statistics. I can use statistics positively, I can use statistics negatively, it depends on which part.
So when they said staggering 75% of rural dwellers are poor, these are figures. As an economist, what does this mean? Because we can't actually dismiss it in totality, going by the fact that even if they are wrong or they are not telling the truth, we should also separate the message from the messenger, like what Adeshina said. Maybe we'll look at him, what he stands to lose if he actually bring down his country. But maybe he is trying to be very frank by calling the government out to say, look, some of the things you are saying are not really what they are.
Well, fine. Like I said, statistics. If on the paper, this is what they have said. In the past, we have spoken about the statistics, although they say that the statistics based on the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics.
Yes.
That's what they say. And that means it is our statistics, then it is our government, statistics. But there are so many issues concerned relating to statistics. On the other side, just to give you room to it,
okay,
can the Bureau of Statistics today tell us how much crude oil are we exporting out of this country?
We have brought a number of experts here, including industry players. Nobody can give you.
Nobody will tell you. So now, if Nigeria Bureau of Statistics is saying that we are this much poor, or this much Nigerians are below poverty line, then probably you need to look at the statistics once again.
Are you saying that it may not be up to that, or it is more than that? Because even now in Abuja, if you just stop at traffic before the 2 o'clock and you see like 2 or 3 or 5 or even 10 people swarming around your car, pleading that you should give them, and people are not asking for much now, what they will eat. Then the next is, they will tell you that they are sick, they want to go to hospital.
Now let me tell you.
Okay.
I could remember there's a quotation that said, poverty is not insanity. People tend to believe that in politics, there is money everywhere. So let me go and take my own part of the flesh. People really, yes, we might have some elements of people that are poor here and there, but people, still believe that we can make money out of other people's sweat. So, and if we continue to do that, we continue to increase, people come, why do people leave Kano? Why do people leave Maiduguri? Why do people probably leave Jalingo and then they come to Abuja to beg?
Because they think this is where some people are making some earnings.
Exactly.
To get them.
For instance, today, you get a lot of calls from all other parts of the country. Once you are living in Abuja, they think that you are on a big sum of money. So while it is not the case. So for me, it is doubtful, these statistics that they've shown, that we are the number of people that are below the poverty line. Probably the statistics, as far as I'm concerned, maybe it is an elitist statistics. For people to go into the dwellers, to go to the rural dwellers and what have you, In fact, in some rural dwellings, the people are even better off than the urban dwellers.
Than those who believe that the green pasture is in the city.
People farm, people they live well, people they what do you call it? They eat the little thing that they have. Beside the insecurity that is in the rural dwellings.
Senator, some people believe that Buhari appeared to have performed better in terms of managing the economy compared to what we are witnessing now.
Yes,
because
and
he
no.
resisted some of these temptations.
Yes.
Do you agree with that?
Yes and no.
Okay, explain.
Yeah. Yes, in the sense that, when President, Bola Tinubu came, the first day he said, subsidy is gone. With due respect, I think it was a speculative statement. Because at that point in time, I don't know the kind of data that he has, the kind of information he has, to the extent that he will say, subsidy is gone.
So you think it was a misstep in a way?
I think he should have waited to see, maybe after forming his cabinet, and then he has gotten much more information, to determine whether, can we remove this subsidy at once, or we can stagger it over a period of time. For me, I think why I say it was speculative, maybe he must have been misadvised by the people around him. I mean, before he was sworn in his campaign, he heard that there's arbitrage, and then there are people talking about fuel subsidy, and the rest. I think the only way we can do it to remove this subsidy at once.
And do you think that he's actually thinking that decision was wrong? And maybe if you have your way now, what will you tell him to address this, so that we'll have some, a space for Nigerians? Because obviously people are complaining.
Well, if I have my way,
yes,
to tell him, you see, the NNPC,
okay,
they left the way it is. That is where the issue is. Even though there's a PIA, Petroleum Industry Act, that is supposed to have unbundled NNPC. NNPC is still unbundled. It has not been unbundled at all.
It is still one.
It is one beast where interrelated. For instance, the corporate headquarters is holding on to the business units, and I mean, for how many years Kaduna has not worked, Wari has not worked, Port Harcourt has not worked, and people are being paid salaries.
Were you surprised with the report we had a few days ago that it was actually a sinkhole of sorts, billions of naira, if you put it, even if you put it in dollars, that have been sunk into these, structures?
Yes, I think it's about 2.6 or 2-point-something billion dollars. Where is the money? Where has it gone to? And then you have assets that is not working.
Is there a nexus between that and the failure of the economy to take shape? Maybe since Nigeria is a mono economy.
You see, the economy is partly or wholly dependent on the oil economy of this country. And if that oil economy is managed by NNPC and the multinational oil companies, there is a lot of opaqueness in the way these things, is managed. So there is no way you are going to extricate, NNPC from what is happening in the bigger economy, because everybody is talking about oil. Everywhere you go in this country today, you have a petrol station. And then the petrol station are used for what? All what they will do is they will get fuel and do what? They push it out of Nigeria, and what have you. Okay. So the subsidy removal, yes, it might have reduced the volume of oil that is, taken out of Nigeria. But really, what is that price attached to?
That decision.
I give you an example. Every aspect of our economy is based on what is the real value of the naira. Ours is a dependent economy. How much we import, not only oil, every aspect of it, it depends on the quantity of money that we have. Now, if the quantity of money that we have is so small, of course, the naira will continue to depreciate.
And this is a product of politics. I saw it somewhere, former governor of Kaduna State, talking about even inflation, because unless inflation comes down, whatever metrics they will deploy, it will be unlikely for Nigerians to get the desired impact. He said that it's a political statement. If the president likes, he can, I'm trying to paraphrase him, he can bring down inflation. As an economist, is that a correct interpretation?
I don't think Mr. President can be able to bring down inflation by fiat. They tried to do it by saying that let us adjust our inflation, down to about 24 and what have you. But is it real?
It was just a matter of books, yes.
It is not real. If you go to the market today, and do some of your calculations, you'll find that it is over 30%. So,
and in the US, it's even less than 3%.
Yes. So for us, we have to be very, very realistic.
How?
Fine. There's what we call splurging.
In economics.
Now, splurging means you buy what you do not need. And so long as from family level to corporate level to government level, we are splurging.
Buying what we can produce.
What we do not need. For instance, I give you an example. Probably, I might have 20, 30, 40 pairs of shoes. I don't need them. Government may just need 2 vehicles. Government may not need 1,000 vehicles. To do what with 1,000 vehicles?
As a senator, somebody might think that you came here with like 4.
No. I have, since my Senate days, I had only, my own vehicle to go with. I don't have more than 1 vehicle. What for?
Some believe that people like you will insist on maintaining that status.
That is where the problem is. That is why we are splurging. The moment you stop splurging today, my advice to President Asiwaju is to create what I call a committee to work on to look into the splurging of federal government.
I know he gave directive that ministers must not move with more than a number of vehicles. All DGs, chief executives of government agencies are parasites. But even today, I saw like 3 different personalities with long convoys.
Sir, it's much more than that. How about the computers that they buy every year?
You approve it for them when you were in the Senate.
Fine, yes, we approve. But that is also splurging. That's what I call splurging. Even if
why is the National Assembly so constrained to now put a stop to some of this?
Because what we call an envelope system. An envelope system is where you budget before you plan. You go there with what you have, what you need, what you want, and then they'll tell you, just take this, go and use it for all the things that you want to use for. And EIT is wrong. Envelope system will not work so long as we are budgeting before we plan.
Are you afraid that a barrel of crude now is just a bit more than $50 a barrel now, while we projected our 2025 budget to 76 or thereabouts? What is the practicality? How can this directly impact? Because what we do here is to actually see the correlation between some of these decisions and then the person in the grassroots. How will it impact the poor?
You see, when the president removed the subsidy, there's so much naira, that has gone into the federal government, into the state governments and what have you. And it is called, in my own opinion, it is money illusion. You have so much money that can buy you very little thing. So for me, what the president and the subnational governments will do is to review the budget.
Okay, as we speak now.
Yes, to review the 2025 budget and bring it down to a surplus budget by removing the splurges.
But where will they even get the money? Going by the fact that crude now is gradually becoming like water. I mean,
that is why I said when you splurge, when you remove the splurges, little money can do better for you.
Okay.
So that's what I'm saying. You know, there are some assets of federal government. What are you keeping them for? Sell them off, and then you generate money. I give you an example. NNPC today is owned technically by Federal Minister of Finance Incorporated and Federal Ministry of Petroleum Resources Incorporated. Today, Federal Ministry of Finance Incorporated has been incorporated and they have their asset and they are managing. And Ministry of Petroleum Resources is not yet incorporated.
So there is disconnect.
So there's disconnect. So there's uncoordination, you know, in even the ownership of NNPC that we have today. So my own suggestion, you know, here is review the budget, bring it to the reality of the situation. What we cannot afford, let us dispose it. For instance, we import a lot of these luxuries. Do we really need them? Smartphones, smart telephone, smart TVs, in fact, smart
luxury vehicles.
Smart luxury vehicles. In fact, we now have even smart houses.
And smart pizza, burger.
So why do we need that?
Distinguish. So, are you worried? Since you said there was this illusion around the naira. Yeah. I mean, in the aftermath of the fuel subsidy removal. But many Nigerians thought that in one way or the other they will be impacted positively. Now, 2 years down the lane, nothing for them, and now the value of the naira still, floating to no end, and then value of the crude also collapsing. Any hope for ordinary Nigerians before we move to the issue of security, because we have two other issues to
no, there is a lot of hope, like I said. Be realistic of the situation. What we cannot afford, let us discard it. What we can afford,
review the budget,
exactly,
flush out so many things that we don't need.
And it is both federal government, state government, and also local government. Even corporations, should look inward and say, can we afford this? Can we afford this? So many vehicles that we have for our executives.
We were thinking governors at the state level will actually use the fortune or the windfall in a way in the last 2 years to provide water, health facilities, agriculture. But what we're seeing now is actually skyscrapers, building bridges, and all that.
And if you go through statistics, you find most of the state governments are borrowing money from the banks.
Despite the windfall.
So it is not a windfall, it is money illusion. The money, the quantum of money has increased, but that money has no value.
And that is why we are doing a roller coaster of a way.
So that is why, some of them, find it very difficult, to pay even, the minimum wage.
Is there a correlation, moving to another area entirely, is there a correlation between the dwindling economy and the rising insecurity? In the introductory part of this program, I made mention of the most recent attack in Yobe. And then even in Bauchi today, some community volunteers working. We don't even have the numbers as we speak. Just yesterday in Sokoto, people who are actually protecting their communities, they are now producing widows and orphans because they are not trained and all that. Insecurity is escalating. Is there a relationship between the rising insecurity and the level of poverty?
I think it's more of rising insecurity as a result of injustice in the system. The system is unjust to the poor. Very, very unjust to the poor. Nigeria is a place where the poor are subsidizing the rich.
How do you mean? Yes.
Yes. What I mean by that is that if the rich can afford this kind of television, smart television. Which resources? People think that, yes, I have the naira, I can buy foreign exchange at whatever rate so that I can import these luxuries. Government should make the rich to pay for the luxuries they are enjoying. And
not the other way around.
Not the other way around, so that, it can be beneficial to the poor people of this country. People have 10, 15 houses. People have 20, 30 vehicles, and they are all smart vehicles. And government is looking at them, they should pay for the luxuries they are enjoying. Because the luxuries is tied to the common resources of the country, including the poor people. The people are poor because the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer.
You are from Taraba State. It is also in the spotlight, even though not as glaring as Plateau, Benue, or Zamfara. Do you think politicians are not actually managing some of this crisis? For instance, whatever happens in Benue, they will say, okay, herders. You're a herder. If you go to Taraba, of course, in some way they said, okay, bandits, but then they also bring the issue of herders. In Plateau State, it is obvious. Every attack is by herders. How do you see this? Where is the problem?
You see, because of the money illusion, even the politicians are in trouble. How often do they even visit their constituencies to see how they can sit down with members of the constituency, either in round tables or in town halls, and discuss, policies that will be justice to the people? So between the herders and the farmers that they are talking about, I'm telling you, it's lack of injustice. It's lack of justice.
In what way? Who is at the receiving end in your estimation?
Okay, in the way that, a herder is moving with his animals. Now he's moving to greener pasture where he can get pasture for this. And a farmer has cleared his land, has done his farm. Now, who will guide the herder to be in the right place? It is the responsibility of the subnational governments, not even federal government. It is subnational. Where are the routes where the animals will follow? Where are the dams where you can provide water for the animals? Where are the schools where you are going to provide, schools for the nomadic people? Where?
But must they roam about? Can't farmers, herders have, develop things for themselves, maybe? The few reserves that we have for them to now maybe utilize them so that they can serve as an example.
Certainly, for instance, in Mambila Plateau, you hardly have, this cattle moving here and there.
It is not happening.
They have what we call, like reserves. Each
ranches.
They have ranches, so where their animals are. There's no reason why the ranches cannot be created for the herders to be there, which will be different from.
Why are governments like in Plateau, in Benue, for instance, they resist this, even though the land is there, the grazing reserves are there? What do you think? Does it have to do with politics?
Because they are politicizing insecurity.
Okay, if Plateau and Benue are politicizing, what is wrong with maybe Katsina State government? What is wrong with Zamfara? What is wrong with Sokoto? They also have this vast land that they can create reserves.
I agree, because I'm surprised that, those who have large grazing areas cannot create, ranches for these people to stay within.
Because as you said, it's actually a subnational problem. And whenever at the federal level, maybe the president said, okay, this is how we want to go about it, you see the governors resisting. I was thinking, governor of Jigawa, for instance, governor of Kano, governor of Bauchi, will now spearhead this, since these herders are also there, people to say, okay, look, let's develop this grazing area and then have them.
It's probably lack of, coordination and enlightenment to these people. For instance, if somebody has his 1,000 cows, You can sit down with that person. All what a herder wants is grass and water, for his animals.
He's not talking about land grabbing or whatever.
I mean, a fly, or not a fly, a herder, for instance, does not own land.
And he's not bothered about actually owning one.
All give me where my animals will be fed and they will have water. That is all. And it will be a peaceful place.
Okay, in all these issues that we discuss, the biggest elephant is actually the concentration among political elites about 2027. Where do we belong, distinguished senator? Are you still a member of APC?
I am a member of APC.
Are you defecting to another political party?
No, and it's the only party I have ever known, and I will still remain in APC. I am not going out of APC because I believe APC will be solution to the Nigerian issue. All these ideas that, things are not happening left, right, and center, I am telling you, it's matter of appreciating.
But is there anything for Nigerians to appreciate in what APC has done between 2014, when, its logo and all that were unveiled, and now? Almost 10 years. People say that, can you people take us back to the PDP days when we bought rice, a bag of rice, was it 8,000? I don't know.
Now, I'll give you an example.
Okay, Senator.
This issue came up. Some of the politicians bought rice and gave as palliatives to their people. The people they have handed over the rice to hid some part of it and sold. So the point I'm trying to make it is attitude. It is our attitude.
So the failure of the economy, the failure of the economic space, political space to stabilize is also...
It's attitudinal.
Is to be shared with the poor also.
Of course. I mean, the citizens, of this country, I don't know whether it's section 14 or so of the Constitution, they have their own right. There is no way government can succeed. No government everywhere in the world can succeed without the cooperation of the citizens.
How can they cooperate when members of the National Assembly, for instance, they are, allocating billions to themselves? Those in the executive, they are allocating billions to themselves. Now, the poor cannot even afford electricity. As we speak now, they want to start installing solar light in the villa because they said the cost of electricity is very bad, it's high. During our meeting, the Federal Ministry of Power has been mulling, giving directive, the clear path for the discourse to hike the cost of electricity.
Today, the gen costs are 100% private. The discourse are, I think, either 40% or 60% private. Isn't it?
And that is maybe in principle. You are talking maybe technically.
Yes. Government sell this thing to us. Sell this thing to us. Government has sold it to them. What is happening? Just like some of my colleagues have said, provide the service and make profit out of the service, out of provision of service.
And they are not willing to do that.
So if they are not willing, it's attitude.
So what we are saying is, why are politicians, of course I know you are contributing from a distance. By virtue of your standing, you will not say you are completely retired, you don't associate with them. Why do you think the politicians are fixated with 2027 at this time, when people cannot afford to go to hospital, people cannot go to their farms? Why are they fixated? Do you think coalition will work, that thing that is being put together?
With due respect, I'm not a member of the coalition. And with due respect too, I don't think coalition will work.
But it worked in 2014.
Yes, it did.
When APC was put
2014
together.
is different from today.
What is it?
Today, which platform and which platform will come together to form the coalition? None of the platforms that will come together are stable themselves. Labour, there's instability there. PDP, instability there.
NNPP?
No, NNPP is, it has been part of APC. So SDP, nobody is sure of the platform because, I think I had like they were rejecting the entrants that are coming in.
Because they don't want the party. The party is the most enduring political party so far.
So they don't
even PDP isn't as all as the SDP.
So they don't want to lose their own grip of their own party as a result of people coming. So there is instability or volatility facing each of these platforms that are planning to come together. That is why I say.
Do you believe, because there are allegations that actually APC is actually blackmailing some governors and some former key politicians who have held certain positions to now join them, or they join those being investigated by the EFCC, and that is why you can see the mass influx into the APC. Could that be correct?
If I have integrity issue in the first place, why should I go into politics? Why should I go into election if I have integrity issue?
That is you, but we have so many of them now.
That is what I'm asking them. So if you have integrity issue, so it is not the issue of APC. It is you, because you have integrity issue.
Do you think now it's an indictment on those who are flooding the gates of the APC simply because they don't want to be handed over to ICPC?
Well, I cannot say for them, but you know what I can, what I may want to speculate is that, APC is now a heaven for me to go and hide there, so that, I will do, without, I don't want to be an opposition, so as not to be seen as, tampering with the policies of the federal government.
Are you happy with that, you as an individual and a member of the party?
No, I'm not happy. I don't want us to have a one-party state. I don't think it will not even be good for the ruling party to have to run a country without an opposition, because the opposition will be checking the ruling party.
All right, in less than 1 minute, because we have come to the end of it, I want to ask whether there are certain policy flip-flops that you are not comfortable with in 1 minute, and what should the president do? This should be your final take.
Well, first of all is coordination. I think, the Mr. President need to create a loose committee to coordinate. To have like a coordinating committee, so as from all sections, from or other than the National Executive Council.
Economic Council.
So we should have one at the national level, where either every month or 2 months, the president, vice president, Senate president, speaker, and what have you, will sit down and look at it holistically from the point of legislation, from the point of executive, and probably from the point of party, even the party. In the ninth assembly, during Muhammadu Buhari's time, that was done. So I think we need to engage the subnationals very, very closely, cooperate and consult them very, very well, so that they can be part and parcel of the excellent implementation, of the budget with the federal.
If you were to ask, or the president said, okay, Senator Yusuf, what do you think I should reverse of all my policies? Is there any?
I don't think about reversing, but it is about probably, reviewing
some of these things. Okay, we'll get time to discuss that. Thank you very much, Senator Yusuf Abubakar Yusuf, who represented Taraba Central Senatorial District under the APC between 2015 and 2023, and a contender for the governorship. I don't know, I forgot to ask you, are you going back to contest again?
No, maybe not, but I'm a little bit older now, so, and I see that most governors that are coming, they are young guys.
All right.
So I'm waiting to see whether I can fit into the young guys, or just to say thank you very much. Young guys, take over Taraba.
All right, thank you very much for coming, and we hope to have you some other time.
Appreciate it.
Yours, that's a wrap on today's package with Senator Yusuf Abubakar Yusuf, who represented Taraba in the Senate. Hope to meet you tomorrow for another segment of Daily Politics. Bye-bye from here. I am Hamza Idris.